Right, we're right back at it. I actually got a phone call in the middle of that last video. So this is part two of episode 26. So we're going to pick up where we left off. So like I said, I did not want to use Kaya as a way for me to soften the blow. I was a strong believer that I need to accept my consequences, learn from them, and not make the same mistakes again. That was my resolve for the whole situation. So the way I pushed through was just to be able to take that blow and pray that one day I'd be able to fix it with Mia, but essentially take that blow and not allow anybody else to soften it, understand what I did, learn from it so I would never make that mistake again. I figured if I'm going to lose something so precious, then I need to gain something precious as well, which would have been the knowledge of not messing up again. So as soon as I kind of felt like that was going to be, that I wasn't going to be the kind of guy that she needed to be with, I left it alone. So at this point, I leave her alone, and I think the very next day I start talking to Janelle again. And I go over to Janelle's house, and I'm over there, and I'm chilling. I'm telling her, she's like telling me like, "Oh, D, what happened? You know, blah 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 blah." I'm like, yeah, blah blah blah. I tell her most of the stuff that's going on, but I'm like, yo, I got my own apartment, and my car is working all right. I'm okay, so I'm pretty happy about that. So what ends up happening next is I'm just kind of like, yo, let me use your computer real quick. Don't know why. I just like, yo, let me use the computer real quick. I wasn't even thinking about using a computer. I was just like, let me use it. So she's like, yeah, go ahead. I go on the computer. I go on AIM, and I'm looking at this AIM, and I remember it's like baby underscore doll underscore like 85x or something like that. That was the name. I clicked on it, right, and instead of asking a question, I was like, yo, it's Ace. I want to talk to you. Let me get your number. Do y'all know who that was? Before I even tell y'all who that was, some of y'all might remember I said this before, but I was like, yo, let me get your number. She's like, oh, hey, like mad enthusiastic. The last time I tried to talk to this girl, that didn't happen. This time she's like, oh, hey, yeah, I'll give you my number. Blah, 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 blah. She gives me the number. I'm like, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to call you later. And I take the number, talking to Janelle. I got kind of excited. I'm like, yo, should I do the 3-day rule, Janelle? You know that rule. She's like, nah. I'm like, yeah, I should do that. I should wait like 3 days before I even do it. And I'm like, nah, let me not. She's way too excited. Janelle was telling me I should do that. She's like, yeah, don't call it right away. It's corny. I'm like, nah, I'm going to definitely do it. So me and Janelle kept going back and forth, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just going to leave. I will holler at you tomorrow. I get in the car. I drive all the way down to my old neighborhood, not my new house, my old neighborhood, and I'm walking around the block. And the reason I picked that particular neighborhood is because it was very nostalgic. It put me in a better mood. Because you guys got to keep in mind, every waking moment for me was very depressing because I was just like, just dying from the situation. But I'm like, you know what? Let me just walk. So I'm walking. Once again, it's like 9 o'clock. I decide to call her. I call her. The girl we're talking about is Lexi. Remember Lexi from the baseball stadium way back when, the kind of chubby girl? I'm talking to her. We're just kind of hitting it off. I don't know. I don't know what exactly it was, but we were just kind of hitting it off. And I can tell that there was something similar about us in that situation, but we were just kind of going in. We were just talking. I was just telling her about, mad stuff that happened in between the time I last talked to her, which was like mad long ago. I met Lexi before I even met Mia. Now just think about this story. Well, no, actually, no. I met Lexi during the very, very beginning of me meeting Mia. Now, just think about this story, how long the story is, and think about how long ago Lexi was. It's a while ago. So I'm pretty much talking to her. I walk all the way from the other side of town, all the way back to my house, talking to her. It's 11 o'clock now. I get off the phone. I'm sitting there. I feel nice. It's the first time since all this stuff negative, my life come crumbling down. It's the first time since things started feeling okay and different. Things just started feeling really nice. And she gave me a lot of positive reinforcement, like, yeah, everything will be okay. You just got to keep your head up. And then for her, I wanted to do that. I was like, you know what? For you, I'm going to do that. For real. I'm really going to do that. Long story short, the very next day, I was going to stay inside and just be miserable because I was feeling that pain again. Because you guys have to think, every single time I woke up, as soon as I opened my eyes, I had to worry about anything in particular reminding me of Mia and making me sick. So it was kind of like, all right, I wake up and I look at the clock, right? And I'll be like, all right, oh, good, it's only 11:31, and I look back at the clock again, and I see the 131 in it, and it reminds me of the date we started dating. I'm just like, if I seen any kind of strawberries or any kind of chocolate covered strawberries, anything like that, it reminded me of her. Any kind of Grand Ams, anything with the number 4 and 1 and 6 in it, all these numbers related to different things that I had memorized of her. Like 416 was April 16th, which is the day that we had to get her way back to her parents with a taxi. That was the day we started dating again after we took a break. 131 was the very first day, which is the same day we took that picture that you guys seen. All these dates had different things and different meanings, and they're the same numbers and same sequences that even to this day, if I'm pretty sure if she's seen it, it would still remind her of that. So 131, 416. I mean, her PIN number to her debit card was a play on those numbers. So anytime I woke up, I had to worry about running into something because I didn't know what was going on. If I tried to call her, I wouldn't get no answer. It was what no one told me anything, so I didn't know nothing. Long story short, I woke up that day, and instead of staying in the house being all miserable because I was dying mentally, like I was dying. Y'all don't understand how bad it was getting. It was getting worse and worse and worse. So what I did was I was just like, you know what? For Lexi, because I want to have something good to tell her when I talk to her later, because she was starting to be my hope in a day. I was just like, good. So let me go take a walk. She'd be glad to know that I went for a walk looking for a job or doing something. So I took a walk. And I walk all the way across town. I walk out of town and I walk to this place called Beach Shopping Center. And I'm walking through Beach Shopping Center. And I'm walking. And I'm just walking. And something tells me, I come to this point where I'm like, I have to make a right or I can go straight. If I go straight, I go up, I go over, I go all the way back home. If I go right, then I go farther into the shopping center. And that's it. I decided to go right for some reason. I go right and I'm walking. And I'm like, oh, it's getting mad freaking cold because at this point it's practically New Year's Day, I think. Well, it's right around New Year's. If it's not a little bit before, actually it's a little bit before. It's a little bit before New Year's, and it's like a little bit after Christmas. By the way, I spent my Christmas by myself. It was a little bit after Christmas, but it was not the New Year. So I'm walking. I walk past this particular store, and I hear, "Yo, Ace." I heard somebody screaming. It's a familiar voice, but I don't really remember who it is. I turn around, I don't see anybody. I keep walking. Yo, hey, it's right here, man. I'm turning around. It's Toogie. I'm thinking to myself, yo, I should just punch him in his face. But like I said, we already talked about all this. I walk up to him like, yo, I'm like, what's good, son? He's like, yo, so how's everything? I'm like, don't even ask me that, son. Like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, it's all right, man. He's like, yo, like, I know, things are rough with us and everything, but yo, I can make it up to you right now. He's like, I'm like, he's like, how? He's like, yo, my nigga. He's like, what'd he say? He said, yo, my nigga. He's like, what you need? You need money though? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yo, I got this job right here. I'm like a manager here. I can get you a job. I'm like, I'm like, word. He's like, yeah. So I walk in there. I fill out application. He gives it to his boss. His boss is some lady. She walks out. She looks at my resume and she's like, oh, it's good. Like, yeah, we'll call you tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. It's one day closer to New Year's. I talk to before we get to tomorrow, that night, I fill out the application, I leave. I talk to Lexi, I tell her what happened. She's mad happy. She's excited. I'm excited. I'm feeling pretty good. I haven't felt relatively like this in a very long time. This is better than when I felt like before me and Mia even broke up because the stresses that I normally would deal with, like, oh, gotta worry about this. I wasn't dealing with any of that because it was over. But at this point, the good thing was, I was happy dealing with her. I felt like we were growing together. Me and Lexi were just, like I said, something we were feeding off each other with, and I didn't know what it was. Long story short, the next day comes, she calls me, I get the job. I'm like, yes. I go in there, take the drug test, everything passes. Everything's good. This was like the 31st of December. I call Lexi, I'm like, yo, I got the job. Yo, we need to celebrate. She's like, yeah. Mind you, Lexi lives mad far away from me at this point. She lives like in some area called the Woodbury Commons, so she's mad far away. I'm like, she's like a 30-minute drive away. I'm talking to her like, yo, we need to celebrate. She's like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then I threw that out there because I just wanted to see how she'd react to me saying celebrate, as in, yo, I want to see you, but I didn't really want to say that. I didn't want to push things. I didn't want to be quick about things. Because I do remember her saying, that she had a boyfriend or something like that at the time. He lived in New Jersey or something. So she's telling me, I'm like, yo, I didn't want to really say, yo, can I chill? I was like, yo, we should celebrate that. This is mad good. This can really be the beginning of good things. She's like, yeah, definitely. I'm like, oh, snap, okay. So that conversation ends, and then we go to New Year's Day, my first day. So I go in there, I'm working. I come to find out I'm working with a guy that's like dating some girl that his sister. He's dating my ex-girlfriend's sister from a very, very, very long time ago. That's a whole another story that I'm not putting in this video. I might get to that story one day. It's hilarious how that story, but it's not for now. But we will get to that. Someone just remind me. Just let me know. Hey, Ace, get back to that story about that girl that your boss, your manager was dating. My supervisor were dating. I will definitely hit y'all up with that. So just to get back into it, I'm talking to him. He's talking to me. We're all talking. He's the third key manager. Toogie's a manager, and I'm just a regular employee. So the first day, we worked the first day. Everything's going good. I'm just chilling. I get out of work. I call Lexi, and I remember this conversation very specifically. I was sitting there, and I was like, yo, now that I have this job, I'm going to kind of try to design my room. Because like I said, I was just still living in an empty room. Just empty. It's been a month now. I'm like, yo, I want to design my room. I'm like, this is going to be a mad good place to do it. He's like, yeah. And I was talking to her. I was like, yo, like, you know what? I got an idea. Like, maybe you can help me design it. Because she likes interior design. I'm like, yo, maybe you can help me design it. And she's like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. I'm like, well, maybe you can make like a date to go, go look at some stuff so I can go get it. I'm like, you live in the Commons area, so maybe I can just come up there and we can just meet there and go shopping for some of this stuff. She's like, oh, that'd be a good idea when you want to do it. I'm like, yo, let's do it like this weekend. And she's like, yeah. And mind you, I haven't seen what she looked like yet because I don't have a computer. And, I only had her name, so I don't even know what the hell she looks like. I'm just like, yeah, we'll do it this weekend. She's like, okay, cool. So I leave that alone. And at that point, I'm calling her almost every single day. Long story short, let me tell y'all what happened in that little brief break. Because I'm trying to get to a point where I want to close off. So I'm going to just hurry up and get there. I end up getting the other dude fired. Remember the guy I told you was my manager, my supervisor? There's my manager, there's the third key guy, Toogie, and then me. I ended up getting him fired because he kept messing up mad OD. He wasn't showing up. I told the boss straight up. I walked up to her. I was like, look, man, I know this guy. He be messing up. I don't know how he got this position with you guys, but I have manager experience. Let me be the manager. I'll gladly take his spot. We can swap. You can count on me. I'll be here. I'll work more hours if you need it. She liked me. She was flirting with me all the damn time, so she did that. And then he kept messing up. He got mad about that. He flipped out. I was like, yo, this is, how you gonna let him talk to you like that? I was just instigating. He ended up getting himself fired because he didn't show up a couple more days. I was like, yeah. So now I'm third key manager. Before I even see her, now I'm making even more money. I go in the day before I go see Lexi, two things happen. I get a call from my dad that I didn't answer. I seen him calling. I was like, fuck this. What he wanted to do, he was calling to let me know, hey, I'm coming up there in 2 weeks to get the plates off the car. Really, son? You're going to come all the way from North Carolina to take the plates off my whip that I paid $200 for 6-7 months for? No, you're not, my nigga. You're not taking those plates. I don't give a damn if you don't pay the insurance. I'll take my chances with the cops. You ain't taking those plates. Long story short, I ignored that shit. The other call I got was the second call I got, which was my boss sending me a call like, hey, I just found out some bad news. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we're closing down the store in the end of March. Mind you, right now, it's the first week of January. It's January 6th. I see Lexi on January 7th, I believe. I think. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm like, yo, are you serious? She's like, yeah, we gotta sell everything. We're gonna be going on a sale, and the whole store's closing in 2 months. So now I'm thinking, like, damn, 2 months? I just got this job. It's mad fun. I'm having mad good time. I'm like, all right, fine. So I find out those two things. Those two things are hilarious stories that we're gonna get into next episode. But let's just go into like the last part of this episode. Tomorrow comes. I wait all the way to nighttime. I drive all the way up to Woodbury Commons. Boy, I'm so excited. I just got paid. I have a good amount of money on me. My car's looking fresh. I still got my neons in it. Everything's good. I'm just so happy at this point. I literally, that day when I woke up, I didn't feel no regret. I didn't think about anybody. I was so happy. I was like, yo, oh my goodness, like this is going to be crazy. I go all the way up there. It's like 9 o'clock. I remember sitting out in the car, right in the front in the car, and my heart's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm just like, oh, snap. So what I do is I'm like waiting there. I text her. I'm like, hey, I'm out front. She's like, oh yeah, come to the door and meet my dad. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Mind you, I was so happy to just be able to meet somebody's dad. Think about how stupid that sounds. I was so happy to be able to be like, yo, I can go meet your dad. It's like that. I can come pick you up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I remember. I think it was 8. No, actually, no, my bad. It was 6. It just got dark so early. So it was like 6. I had to bring her back by 8. That's what happened. Or 8:30, anywhere in that line. I go up there. She's like, come in and meet my dad. I'm like, wow, yo. And before I even got out the car, I remember exactly what I thought. I was just like, man, this is really what it's supposed to be. I'm like, maybe everything worked out for a reason. Maybe I was supposed to do everything like this to learn my lesson and never hurt the next girl I'm going to be with. But at the same time, you know, losing Mia may have been something that can legitimately help me in the long run. This is what I was thinking. I was like, maybe I learned a valuable life lesson that can change everything. And I thought to myself, I was like, you know what? This might be able to change everything. I'm like, so, you know, this is inspiring. I'm like, this is mad good. So I get out the car. I walk up to the front door. It's a huge house, my nigga. It's huge. It's like, it's big. It looks like an apartment building. I walk up, I'm like, yo. I'm just looking at the house. There's mad lights everywhere. I knock on this big wooden door. The door opens, and I'm gonna get y'all next episode. Oh. But yeah, next episode we pick up from right there. So this is part 2, episode 26. Your boy Ace is Galvin. I'm out. At least you guys get a half an hour of this, you know, because we have 2 16-minute episodes or something like that. Regardless, your boy, I'm out. Stay tuned for next episode. Crazy.